She had everything: money, power, her name on magazine covers. But that night, in the pouring rain, this black female billionaire saw something that stopped her cold. An 8-year-old girl, shivering under a flickering streetlight, clutching a soggy job application with trembling hands. No parents, no hope, just raw desperation. She could have looked away. The world taught her to. But what happened next would tear open every scar she thought success had healed. And it will break you in ways you didn't think a story could. Maya Thompson's mind raced as she looked out of her luxury car window, the rain pounding down in relentless sheets. She had just closed a major deal that would expand her empire. But something felt off. Her sharp instincts, honed over years of cutting through the corporate world, couldn't shake the nagging feeling that someone, needed her. She had just passed by a homeless shelter when she saw the girl. At first, Maya thought it was a trick of the light. But then, she saw the little figure again. A small child standing alone on the edge of the street, clutching a piece of paper in her hands. Her clothes were torn, her face streaked with dirt, and her posture bent under the weight of the world. As if the rain couldn't even touch her, she stood there, defiant, yet broken. Before we begin, let me know where you're watching from. Leave your country name in the comments below. And if you love stories about courage, loyalty, and community, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next stories. Maya's heart tightened. She slowed her car, the sound of the rain drumming on the roof filling her ears. She stepped out of the car, her expensive heels sinking into the muddy street as she approached the girl. "Hey," Maya called out softly, unsure if the girl would even respond. Her voice was almost swallowed by the storm. The girl looked up, and Maya's breath caught in her throat. There were deep bags under the child's eyes, her skin pale and bruised. She looked like she had been through a lifetime of pain despite her tender age. Maya stepped closer. "Are you okay?" The girl didn't speak at first. Instead, she just held out the job application, wet, crumpled, and soaked through with rain. I need a job." The girl's voice trembled. "I don't want to go back home." Maya's mind raced, but it was clear the child wasn't in any condition to explain. What was a little girl doing out here in the storm, with a job application of all things? "Where are your parents?" Maya asked, her voice barely above a whisper, dreading the answer. The girl shook her head, her expression turning hollow. "I don't have anyone. They don't care." A cold chill ran down Maya's spine. The girl's eyes spoke of things a child should never have to endure. Maya didn't know what had happened, but she could feel the darkness radiating from this small, vulnerable figure in front of her. Maya glanced at the job application. It was crumpled and stained, but the name on the form was legible. Lily Davis. Her heart ached as she bent down to the girl's level. "What's your name?" "Lily," the girl whispered. I need to work. I'll do anything." Maya stood up, the urgency of the moment weighing on her chest. She wanted to help, but she couldn't just throw money at this situation. No, this girl needed more than a handout. She needed someone to care. As Maya glanced around, she realized how isolated they were. The street was nearly empty, save for the occasional car speeding by. There were no other people nearby, no one to help, just the sound of the rain and the silence of the storm. Then, as if the universe had heard her plea, a voice broke the quiet. "Lily, it's going to be okay." It wasn't a voice Maya recognized, but it felt like a whisper in her ear, coming from somewhere deep within. The girl flinched, looking around frantically. Maya's chest tightened. What was happening? Was there someone else nearby? Before she could react, the sky seemed to darken even further, the wind picking up. A low growl of thunder rumbled in the distance, and the first bolt of lightning cut through the sky. Maya glanced around, searching for any sign of help, but everything seemed to move in slow motion. It was as though time itself had stopped, and everything in her life was suddenly out of her control. In a moment of sheer panic, her phone buzzed with a notification, one she would later discover was the beginning of a much bigger storm, one that had nothing to do with the weather. Lily's eyes were wide with fear, and Maya's heart shattered. This little girl had already been through so much. Whatever it was that had broken her, Maya didn't know yet, but the storm had just begun. The rain intensified. Maya reached out. But before she could touch Lily's hand, a loud crash echoed from behind them. The storm had grown more violent, and in the chaos of it all, Maya felt something shift, something deep within her. The beginning of a promise was made that night, one that would change everything. Maya's mind raced as she looked toward the source of the noise. A dumpster toppled over by the force of the wind, its contents scattered across the pavement. But it wasn't the noise that unsettled her. It was the overwhelming sense of danger, like something darker was creeping closer. Lily's body trembled, her hands clutching the crumpled job application even tighter. "I have to go," the girl whispered, her voice barely audible over the storm's roar. "No," Maya said, her voice firm. She knelt in front of Lily, reaching for her cold, trembling hands. "You're not going anywhere. Not like this." Lily pulled away, her eyes wide with fear. "I have to go back. They'll—" She stopped abruptly, glancing over her shoulder as though expecting someone to appear from the shadows. Her body stiffened, as if anticipating an attack. Maya's heart skipped a beat. The girl's fear wasn't just from the storm, it was something deeper, something that made her retreat further into herself. "Who are you afraid of, Lily?" Maya asked, her voice soft but urgent. She needed answers. This wasn't just a runaway child with a sad story. There was more to this than Maya could fathom. Lily's eyes filled with tears, and she looked down at the ground, struggling to find the words. "They hurt me. They told me I wasn't allowed to dream anymore." Maya's chest tightened as the weight of Lily's words sank in. She could feel the deep pain that had been etched into this child's soul, the scars that would take more than time to heal. Just as Maya opened her mouth to speak, a loud crash echoed through the street, this time much closer. Her head whipped around, her eyes scanning the darkness. A figure emerged from the alley, a tall shadow drenched in rain. It was a man. Lily's face went pale. Her whole body tensed as she took a step back, her eyes wide with terror. "No, please, don't let him get me." Maya's instincts kicked in. Without thinking, she wrapped her arms around the girl, pulling her close. "Stay with me, Lily," she whispered, her voice firm but gentle. "You're safe now." But the man wasn't slowing down. His pace quickened as he neared, his footsteps echoing ominously. He was tall, with broad shoulders and a menacing presence that made Maya's blood run cold. "Lily!" the man's voice shouted, his tone low and threatening. "Come here, now." Maya stood, positioning herself between Lily and the approaching figure. She could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on her. She didn't know who this man was, but he clearly had no good intentions. "I'm not going anywhere with you," Lily whispered, almost too quietly for Maya to hear. Maya took a step forward, her body rigid with protective instinct. "Stay back," she said, her voice cold but resolute. "Who are you?" The man stopped, his eyes narrowing as he assessed her. There was a flicker of recognition in his gaze before it turned to annoyance. "You don't know what you're getting involved in, lady. This isn't your fight." Maya's eyes locked with his, not backing down. "I'm making it my fight. Now get out of here." For a moment there was silence, broken only by the howling wind and the distant rumble of thunder. The man sneered, his lips curling in contempt, before turning on his heel and walking away. muttering curses under his breath. Maya didn't move until she was sure he was gone, and even then, she kept a watchful eye on the shadows around them. She couldn't shake the feeling that danger still lingered in the air. Lily, now shaking uncontrollably, stepped forward and clutched Maya's coat. "He's not going to leave us alone. He'll come back. He always does." Maya's heart clenched. She could sense the truth in the girl's words. This man wasn't some random stranger. He was part of the nightmare that haunted Lily's every step. But Maya wasn't about to let this child face it alone. "You're safe now, Lily," Maya said, her voice steady, though her heart ached for the little girl. "You're not going back to that life, you hear me?" Lily nodded, though her eyes were filled with uncertainty. "But I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have anyone." "You have me," Maya said firmly. "You have me now." Maya took a deep breath and pulled her phone from her pocket, dialing a number she knew by heart. "Sophia, I need you to find out everything you can about Lily Davis. No one harms this girl. No one." Sophia, Maya's most trusted ally and head of security, responded immediately, her voice sharp with concern. "I'm on it." Maya ended the call and turned back to Lily, kneeling down to her level. "I promise, I won't let anything happen to you. We're going to fix this. Together." Lily, exhausted and fearful, nodded, clinging to the promise like a lifeline. The storm had raged on, but in that moment, Maya felt a spark of something unexpected, a sense of purpose. She had built her empire on the foundation of resilience. But this was different. This was personal, and she wouldn't stop until she uncovered the truth behind the girl's fear, no matter where it led. The rain continued to pour down in sheets, but Maya barely noticed the cold anymore. She had Lily wrapped tightly in her coat, pulling her into the warmth of her car, away from the threat lurking in the storm. As the engine roared to life and the car sped down the empty streets, Maya's mind raced with 1,000 questions. Who was the man? What did he want with Lily? And why had a little girl been forced to stand out in the rain, desperately clutching a job application? She glanced at Lily, who had her head pressed against the window, staring out into the storm, her tiny frame still trembling from fear. Her dark eyes were distant, haunted, as if she was looking at something far away, something far darker than the night outside. "Lily," Maya said gently, breaking the silence. "Tell me about him. Who was that man?" Lily didn't respond at first. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. It was as if she were caught between the fear of speaking and the overwhelming need to keep it all locked inside. Maya's heart went out to her. This wasn't just a scared child. This was a child who had already learned the harshest lessons of life. Lily's voice trembled as she spoke. "He's my uncle, but he's not really family." Her words hung in the air, thick with meaning. "He's bad, Miss Thompson. He's the reason I had to leave." Maya's grip on the steering wheel tightened. She didn't need more details to know that this was far from the first time Lily had been hurt. But what kind of monster would do this to a child? What kind of family turned a little girl out onto the streets, making her fear for her very life? "Lily," Maya began softly, "you don't have to worry about him anymore. I'll make sure he can't hurt you." But Lily shook her head, her face drawn in desperation. "He always finds me. He says I'm a burden, that no one will ever want me. And when I try to get away, he always comes back." Her voice broke as she said it, and Maya could hear the raw pain, the hopelessness in her words. Maya's chest tightened. This child had been abandoned, neglected, and thrown away by the very people who should have protected her. "I'm not going to let him hurt you again," Maya promised firmly. "You're safe now." As the car sped through the storm, Maya's thoughts turned to the bigger picture. She couldn't let this go. She couldn't let Lily return to the hell she had escaped. But this was bigger than just one man. This was about a system that had failed a child, a system that had failed so many like her. As they reached her penthouse, Maya parked the car and turned to Lily. The girl was still staring out the window, lost in her own thoughts, her expression clouded with fear and uncertainty. "We're here," Maya said gently, trying to pull her from the dark thoughts that seemed to hold her captive. "You're going to be okay, Lily. I promise." Lily nodded, though her eyes remained distant. She wasn't ready to believe it yet, not after everything she had been through. But Maya could see the flicker of hope deep inside the girl, the faintest spark of trust that had been buried for so long, now just beginning to stir. The penthouse was everything Lily had never known. Warm, bright, and safe. The soft hum of the elevator filled the silence as they ascended, and Maya's thoughts were consumed by what she had just learned. She had to protect this girl. She had to make things right. As they stepped inside, Maya took Lily's coat off and guided her to the couch. "I'm going to get you some dry clothes, okay?" Maya said, her voice gentle. "And then I'll get us something warm to eat. You must be starving." Lily nodded faintly, her eyes still wary, unsure if she could trust the warmth that surrounded her. She curled up on the couch, pulling her knees to her chest. Maya moved to the kitchen, but as she did, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was Sophia. "Did you find anything?" Maya answered, trying to keep the urgency from her voice. "Everything," Sophia's voice came back quickly. "Lily Davis is in the foster care system. Her mother passed away 2 years ago, and her father's whereabouts are unknown. Her uncle, David Davis, is a known criminal. He has a history of violence, and he's been in and out of jail for the past decade." Maya's heart sank. "And he's been allowed to have custody of her?" "It's worse than that," Sophia continued, her voice grim. "The courts have repeatedly failed to intervene. Lily has been removed from his care multiple times, but somehow he keeps finding a way to get her back. It's a broken system, Maya, and it's failing this little girl." Maya's grip on the phone tightened. The rage that burned within her was unlike anything she had ever felt before. "He's not getting her again. Not if I have to burn this entire system to the ground." There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then Sophia's voice softened. "You're not alone in this, Maya. I'll help you however I can." "Thank you," Maya said, her voice tight with resolve. "But this isn't just about getting Lily safe. It's about stopping this from ever happening again." As Maya ended the call and walked back to the living room, she found Lily staring at the window once again, her small hands clutching the fabric of her coat. Maya sat down next to her heart heavy with the weight of what she had learned. She took a deep breath before speaking softly. "Lily, I'm not going to let him hurt you again. I'll do everything I can to make sure of it." Lily's eyes flickered toward her, and for the first time since they'd met, Maya saw a spark of something new in them. Trust. Hope. "I believe you," Lily whispered, her voice so small it nearly broke Maya's heart. Maya smiled gently, reaching out to tuck a loose strand of hair behind Lily's ear. "Good, because we're just getting started." The following days passed in a whirlwind. Maya's life, usually a well-orchestrated symphony of board meetings, public appearances, and corporate strategy, had suddenly become something else entirely. She found herself absorbed in Lily's world, protecting her, ensuring she felt safe, and trying to uncover the dark secrets that had led to this moment. Lily, though still hesitant, was beginning to open up. At first, Maya's attempts to get her to talk about her past were met with silence or averted gazes. But slowly, like the rainwater trickling down a parched hillside, Lily began to share fragments of her story. It wasn't easy. Each word seemed to cost the girl something. Her soul, her dignity, a piece of herself. But Maya never pushed her too hard. She knew that trust was something that couldn't be rushed. One afternoon, as the sun dipped below the skyline, casting the penthouse in a soft amber glow, Maya found herself sitting with Lily on the balcony. The wind had died down, leaving behind a cool breeze that felt almost refreshing. They were sipping hot chocolate, a simple act that felt like an eternity away from the storm they'd both weathered. "Do you miss your mom?" Maya asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. She had learned a little about Lily's mother. She had been young, vibrant, and loving. But she had died in a car accident 2 years ago, leaving Lily alone with her uncle, David. Lily's eyes darkened as she stared out at the city, her fingers idly tracing the rim of her mug. "I don't know if I miss her," she said, her voice distant. "I barely remember her. I think about her sometimes, but it's like she's a shadow now. I just wish she was here. Maybe if she was, none of this would have happened." Maya's heart ached for the girl. The loss of a mother at such a young age was something no child should have to endure. But what broke her more was the fact that Lily had no one left, no family, no support system, no place to call home. "You have me now," Maya said, her voice firm but soft. "And I'm not going anywhere, Lily. You don't have to be alone anymore." Lily turned to her, her eyes wide, as if she were seeing Maya for the first time. The faintest trace of a smile touched her lips. Fragile, but real. "You mean it?" Maya nodded, her heart swelling with a fierce protectiveness she hadn't known she was capable of. "I do. I promise you I won't let anyone hurt you again. Not ever." For a moment, they simply sat there in silence, letting the quiet hum of the city surround them. Maya felt a bond growing between them, one that went beyond any legal adoption, any charity donation, or any gesture of kindness. This was something deeper, something forged in shared pain, in shared commitment to make things right. But Maya couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle had just begun. The next day, Maya met with her legal team. There was a quiet intensity in her as she sat at the head of the conference table, her usually confident demeanor edged with an urgency that had taken root in her soul. "I need everything we can gather on David Davis," Maya instructed, her eyes scanning the faces of her team. "Not just his criminal record, but his financials, his associates, anything that will help us build a case against him. We can't let him get anywhere near Lily again." Sophia, who was sitting beside her, nodded. "I've already begun gathering intel. I'll get a full dossier within the next 24 hours. Maya's gaze sharpened. "And make sure we have an airtight case. I don't want him slipping through the cracks again. We need to keep him away from her for good." Her legal team moved quickly. Within hours, they had a clear picture of David's life, a violent criminal with ties to underground operations, a man who used his position as a guardian to control and abuse those under his care. He had a history of intimidation, fraud, and a list of shady connections that went deep into the city's underbelly. The deeper Maya dug, the angrier she became. This wasn't just about a failed system. This was about a man who had built his life on exploiting others, and Lily had been his latest victim. But Maya wouldn't allow it. The next evening, as Maya sat in her penthouse, going through the pile of legal documents in front of her, a sudden knock at the door jolted her from her thoughts. Sophia walked in, her expression tense. "Maya, we've got a problem." Maya stood up immediately, her instincts kicking in. "What is it?" "It's David," Sophia said, her voice tight with worry. "He knows we're after him, and he's making threats." Maya's stomach tightened. "What kind of threats?" Sophia's eyes darkened. "He's threatening Lily. He says he's going to come for her, no matter what. And he's not alone. There are others with him. He's got a network. And it's not just criminal. It's personal." Maya's blood ran cold. She had known this was coming, but hearing it out loud made it all the more real. "Where is Lily?" Maya asked urgently. her eyes scanning the room as if she could somehow will Lily to appear. "She's in her room, locked in for now," Sophia said. "But we need to act fast. He's got connections everywhere. We can't just go after him with the legal system. It's not enough. He's too dangerous." Maya took a deep breath, her mind racing. She knew she couldn't wait for the slow grind of the courts. She had to protect Lily now. "Prepare the team," Maya said, her voice cold with resolve. "We're going to take this fight to him. We'll do whatever it takes to make sure he can never hurt her again." Sophia nodded. Understood. And just like that, Maya's world shifted again. It wasn't just about the law. It wasn't just about money or power. This was about something much deeper, something worth fighting for with everything she had. It was a fight for family, a fight for Lily, and she wouldn't stop until Lily was safe. The air inside the penthouse felt thick, almost suffocating, as Maya prepared for what lay ahead. The intensity of the situation had only escalated, and with each passing hour, the threat to Lily felt closer. She couldn't afford to wait any longer. The storm that raged outside her windows seemed to mirror the one churning within her. "Make sure the security cameras are all active," Maya instructed Sophia, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside her. "And get everyone on standby. We need to be ready for anything." Sophia nodded, her face set in a look of determination that matched Maya's. "We've got the best protection money can buy. But this is more than just physical security, Maya. We need to prepare for the worst." Maya's gaze was cold as she looked out over the city. She had faced countless business challenges, financial crises, and personal betrayals over the years. But this was different. This wasn't just a hostile takeover or a market collapse. This was about protecting an innocent life. And nothing was going to stop her. "I'm not afraid of the worst," Maya said, her voice low and fierce. "I've been through hell, and I'm still standing. David Davis has no idea who he's up against." Sophia didn't respond. She didn't need to. The weight of Maya's words hung in the air, and both women understood the gravity of the situation. As Maya stood in the middle of the penthouse, the enormity of what she was about to do hit her fully. This wasn't just a legal battle anymore. It was a war to protect Lily. And she wasn't going to fight it alone. She couldn't. The door to the guest room creaked open, and Maya turned to find Lily standing in the doorway, her small figure silhouetted by the dim light from the hallway. The girl's eyes were filled with uncertainty, but there was something else there too, something that spoke of a newfound strength, a flicker of trust that hadn't been there before. "I don't want to be scared anymore," Lily said quietly, her voice barely a whisper. "I want to be safe." Maya's heart broke at the words, but she didn't let herself show it. She couldn't afford to falter now, not when the little girl in front of her needed her more than ever. "You're safe, Lily," Maya said softly, walking over to the girl and kneeling to look her in the eye. "I'm going to make sure of it. I promise you." Lily's eyes searched hers, seeking the truth in her words. "But what if he comes for me? What if I don't have anywhere to go?" Maya gently cupped Lily's cheek, her thumb brushing across the girl's cold skin. "You have a place here. You have a family now. And we're not going anywhere. We'll fight him together." For the first time since they had met, Lily's lips trembled into a small, tentative smile. It wasn't much, but to Maya, it was everything. "We'll stop him," Maya said, her voice unwavering. "And I won't let anything happen to you. Not while I'm here." Lily nodded, clinging to Maya's promise like a lifeline. A soft knock on the door interrupted the moment, and Sophia stepped inside, her expression grim. "It's time," Sophia said quietly, holding up a phone. "David's people are making their move. We've tracked a van, leaving his last known location. They're coming here, Maya." Maya's eyes narrowed. She had been expecting this, but hearing it confirmed made the threat feel all too real. She could feel the tension in the room shift, the air thickening with anticipation. "Tell everyone to stay alert," Maya said, standing up and straightening her posture. "No one gets through to Lily. No one." Sophia nodded and moved swiftly to relay the orders. Maya turned back to Lily, kneeling once more in front of her. "I need you to listen carefully, okay? This might get scary, but I need you to stay here. Don't open the door for anyone. Do you understand?" Lily nodded, her small hands clutching Maya's tightly. "I understand." Maya stood up, looking at the security team as they moved into position. The tension in the penthouse was palpable, but Maya's mind was clear. She was ready. She had to be. "Let's do this," Maya said, her voice sharp with command. She turned and strode toward the elevator, with Sophia and the security team following close behind. The penthouse was on high alert, every door, every window locked and secured. Maya wasn't taking any chances. The fight to keep Lily safe had just begun, and this time, she was going to fight dirty if she had to. No one was getting past her. As they reached the ground floor, Maya's phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "You can't protect her. She's mine. You'll regret this." Maya's fingers tightened around the phone. She knew this was David's doing, a last-ditch attempt to intimidate her. But the message only steeled her resolve. "He's not going to win," Maya muttered under her breath, her voice low but fierce. "Not while I'm breathing." Just then, one of the security guards gestured toward the monitors. A figure, tall, broad-shouldered, was pacing near the entrance to the building. David Davis had arrived. Maya took a deep breath, her eyes steely with focus. This wasn't just about stopping him. This was about making sure that David Davis would never, ever be able to hurt Lily again. "Move in," Maya commanded, her heart pounding as the team positioned themselves. "We're going to handle this once and for all." Sophia shot her a quick look, her voice tight with apprehension. "Are you sure you want to do this now? It could get dangerous." Maya nodded, her expression unwavering. "I'm sure. This ends tonight." The soft hum of the security system was the only sound in the penthouse as Maya watched the monitors with laser focus. Her heart beat in rhythm with the ticking of the clock on the wall, a constant reminder that time was slipping away. David was close now. Too close. The security cameras outside the building had confirmed that the van had parked just a few blocks down, its lights off, its engine idling in the night. It was just a matter of minutes before they would move in. Maya's thoughts were sharp, each one cutting through the haze of anxiety that had been clouding her mind. She knew what she had to do. It wasn't just about confronting David. It was about ensuring Lily's future, about ending this nightmare once and for all. No more fear. No more running. Sophia stood beside her, her phone in hand as she communicated with the team positioned around the building. The tension in the room was palpable, but Maya remained calm. She had always known that moments like this would come, moments where everything she had worked for, everything she had fought for, would be tested. But she wasn't going to let fear control her. Not tonight. The door to the security room opened, and one of Maya's senior agents stepped inside. "Ms. Thompson, we've confirmed his movements. He's heading for the back entrance." Maya nodded, her eyes locking onto Sophia's. "We'll meet him there. Make sure Lily is safe. Don't let anyone near her." Sophia hesitated for a moment, then nodded sharply, her face set with determination. "Understood." Maya and her team moved with the precision of soldiers. Every step was deliberate, every movement coordinated. Maya's breath steadied as they descended toward the back entrance. Her mind was clear, but the weight of the situation still pressed on her chest. She wasn't just fighting for herself, for her company, or even for her legacy. She was fighting for a little girl who had been abandoned, neglected, and left to fend for herself. And Maya wasn't about to let that happen again. As they reached the back door, Maya's phone buzzed once more. She glanced at it quickly. "You're too late. She's already mine. You can't save her." Maya's hand tightened around the phone. This was more than just a threat now. It was a declaration of war. David wasn't coming just to intimidate anymore. He was coming to claim what he believed was his. But Maya knew something he didn't. Lily was no longer his. She was hers. Without another word, Maya nodded to her team, signaling that it was time. They moved quickly, taking positions around the perimeter of the building. Maya stood at the entrance, her hand poised near her side, ready to act the moment she needed to. Her breath was steady, her pulse even. But inside, a storm was raging. She had faced enemies before, but nothing like this. This wasn't just a fight for power or control. This was about saving a child's life. The first sound Maya heard was the faint crunch of gravel under boots, followed by the creak of the back door being pushed open. Maya's heart skipped a beat. This was it. David had arrived. He stepped into view, tall and imposing in the shadows, his face partially hidden by the brim of a worn baseball cap. Maya's gut twisted. He wasn't just a man, he was a predator. The coldness in his eyes told her everything she needed to know. This man had no soul, no empathy. He wasn't here to negotiate. He was here to take what he believed was his, by right. "You shouldn't have interfered, Maya." David's voice was low, rough with anger, as he took another step forward. "You don't know what you're dealing with. This isn't your fight. She's mine. I'm the only family she has left." Maya's lip curled into a smile, one that didn't reach her eyes. "You're not her family. You're a monster." David's eyes darkened as he took another step toward her, his presence looming over her. "You think you can protect her? You think you're better than me? You don't know what it's like to survive in this world, to do what's necessary to get by." "I don't need to," Maya said, her voice steady but cold. "Because I don't have to survive. I thrive." Without warning, Maya signaled, and the security team moved swiftly into position, surrounding David with practiced precision. But Maya didn't move. Her eyes locked onto his as she stood her ground. "You've hurt her enough," Maya said, her voice cutting through the tense silence. "And I'm not going to let you hurt anyone ever again. You'll never see her again, David. You'll never hurt anyone again." David sneered, his hands balling into fists. "You think you can take me down with your money, your lawyers? You can't protect her forever. You can't stop me." Maya's heart raced, but her voice remained calm. "Watch me." The sound of sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder by the second. It was then that Maya saw it, the realization in David's eyes that he had underestimated her. He had underestimated what she was willing to do to protect Lily. Before he could react, two of Maya's team members closed in from behind, handcuffing him with swift precision. The cold metal clicking shut around his wrists was the sound of victory, the final moment of a battle that Maya had already won. David struggled, but it was futile. He was outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and outplayed. "This isn't over," he spat, his voice full of venom. "I'll make you regret this, Maya. You'll never get rid of me." Maya stepped closer, her face inches from his as she looked him dead in the eye. "No, David, you're done." She turned away from him, signaling to her team. The sirens grew louder, and soon the flashing red and blue lights illuminated the night. The authorities had arrived, ready to take him into custody. But for Maya, the battle wasn't over. It wasn't even close to being over. As she turned to leave, her eyes found Lily, standing in the doorway, watching the entire scene unfold. For the first time, Lily's expression wasn't one of fear. It was one of hope. Maya approached her slowly, kneeling down to meet her at eye level. "It's over, Lily. You're safe now." Lily's lips quivered, but this time her smile was genuine, her eyes filled with something Maya hadn't seen before. Trust. "I'm safe?" Lily whispered, her voice trembling. Maya nodded. "You're safe." And with that, Maya knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter. The storm had passed, but there were more battles to fight, more lives to protect, and she would never stop fighting. Not for Lily, and not for anyone who needed her. As they walked back into the penthouse, Maya took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the world lift from her shoulders. The journey had been long and painful, but in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of the home she had built, Maya knew that the fight for family, her family, was worth every sacrifice. The quiet of the penthouse was almost surreal after the chaos of the past few hours. The sirens had long faded, the handcuffs had been secured, and David Davis was now in police custody, facing a future behind bars. But even as Maya stood in the center of her grand living room, surrounded by her wealth, the weight of what had just happened pressed down on her like an invisible force. Lily was safe. That was the most important thing. But the damage to the little girl's heart, the scars that ran deeper than any physical wound, would take time to heal. Maya knew this would be a long road, longer than anything she had ever encountered in her own journey. And it wasn't just about providing a safe space, it was about rebuilding trust, one small step at a time. Sophia was at her side, watching her with a quiet intensity. The world outside the penthouse had returned to its usual pace, but Maya's mind was still tangled in the moments that had led them here. "We need to make sure David's network doesn't try to retaliate," Sophia said, breaking the silence. "His influence is far-reaching. I've already contacted our legal team, but this won't be over for a while." Maya nodded, her jaw tight with resolve. "I know. We'll take it one step at a time. But I won't let anyone get to Lily. Not again." Sophia placed a reassuring hand on Maya's shoulder. "You've done everything you can. But remember, you don't have to do this alone. We're all here for you. And for her." Maya gave a small nod, her eyes focused on the door to the hallway where Lily had gone to change. The girl was still processing everything, still shaken. But there was a new light in her eyes now. She wasn't alone anymore. And that made all the difference. "I'm not alone anymore," Maya said, almost to herself. The door to the hallway creaked open, and Lily stepped into the room, her small figure framed by the soft light that spilled into the living room. She was wearing one of Maya's oversized sweaters, her hair damp from a warm shower. For a moment, she hesitated at the threshold, her eyes scanning the room as if unsure of what came next. Maya smiled at her, a smile that reached her eyes, a rare moment of softness in the midst of everything. "Hey, kiddo. How are you doing?" Lily shuffled her feet, still uncertain but visibly comforted by the warmth of the place. I'm okay, I think. Her voice trailed off, and she glanced down at the floor, her fingers twisting the hem of the sweater. "I didn't know what to expect when we got here. I thought maybe this was all just a dream, that I'd wake up, and it would all be over." Maya's heart clenched, the depth of Lily's trauma more apparent with each word she spoke. This wasn't just about physical safety, it was about giving her a place where she could finally be a kid again. "You're safe here, Lily," Maya said gently. "You don't have to be afraid anymore." Lily looked up, her eyes meeting Maya's with a mix of hope and disbelief. "Really?" Maya stood up slowly and crossed the room to kneel in front of her, so they were eye to eye. "Really?" she said with a soft smile. "And I'm not going anywhere. You're not alone. Not anymore." Lily hesitated for a moment. Then, as if she couldn't hold it back anymore, she threw her arms around Maya in a tight hug. Maya's breath caught in her throat, but she held Lily close, feeling the weight of everything that had led to this moment. The storm was over. The battle had been won. And now, there was only healing to be done. Sophia, standing off to the side, gave Maya a knowing look. She didn't need to say anything. Maya could feel the solidarity between them, the unspoken promise that they would all face whatever came next together. Over the next few weeks, Maya devoted herself to Lily's well-being. She made sure that Lily had everything she needed: psychological counseling, support, and a safe, loving environment where she could finally begin to heal. But it wasn't just about giving Lily what she needed in terms of security. Maya knew that she had to help the girl reconnect with the things that had been stolen from her. The innocence of childhood, the ability to trust again, and the belief that the world could be kind. Maya spent hours with Lily, not just talking about the past, but building a future. They played games, watched movies, and did all the little things that Maya had missed in her own childhood. And through it all, Maya's heart swelled as she watched Lily slowly start to open up, bit by bit. She shared her favorite books with Maya, told her about her dreams of being an artist, and even drew little pictures for her, shyly offering them as gifts. "I'm glad you're here," Lily said one evening as they sat together on the couch, the soft light of the lamp casting shadows on the walls. "I never thought someone like you would care about me." Maya's heart broke at the honesty in Lily's words. This child had been told time and time again that she wasn't worthy of love, of care, of safety. And Maya had to show her, day by day, that she was worthy of all of it. "I've always cared about you," Maya replied, her voice soft but full of conviction. "And I always will." The bond they shared grew stronger with each passing day, and Maya could feel the weight of her past, the moments of loneliness and loss, start to fade as she poured herself into the life of the girl she had come to see as her own. But the journey wasn't over. The legal battles continued. David was facing charges, and his associates were still out there, lurking in the shadows. Maya knew the fight wasn't done, but she was no longer fighting alone. She had her team, her family, and the most important thing of all, the trust of the little girl who had changed her life in ways she never could have imagined. One evening, as they sat together, the weight of the day beginning to settle in, Lily turned to Maya, her eyes filled with the quiet wisdom of someone far older than her years. "Maya," Lily said softly, "I think you're right. I think I can do anything now. I think I can finally be me." Maya smiled, her heart overflowing with pride. "You already are, Lily. You always were." And as the night settled around them, Maya knew that no matter what came next, she was ready. For Lily, for their future, and for the family they had built together, one that would never break. Weeks turned into months, and slowly life began to settle into a new rhythm. Maya found herself rising every morning with a sense of purpose that she hadn't known before. The corporate world still demanded her attention. Deals had to be made, meetings had to be attended. But the most important part of her life was right there, at home, waiting for her at the end of each day. Lily was thriving. She'd begun school again, enrolled in an art program, and spent hours creating, pouring her emotions onto canvases with vivid colors that told the stories she could no longer keep inside. Her laughter, once quiet and hesitant, now filled the halls of the penthouse. Maya watched with pride as Lily transformed from the broken child she had found in the rain into a confident young girl who was discovering the world on her own terms. The legal battle, too, had made progress. David Davis was in prison, facing multiple charges related to his abuse of Lily, and the web of criminal activity he had been involved in was slowly being unraveled. Maya had used her influence, her wealth, and her connections to ensure that every avenue was explored, every lead followed, and that no stone was left unturned. She wasn't going to let David or his associates slip away. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Maya sat in her office reviewing documents, a soft knock on the door pulled her from her thoughts. "Come in," she called. Sophia entered, her expression as calm as always, but there was a gleam in her eyes, a hint of something more. "Maya?" Sophia said, a small smile tugging at the corner of her lips. "I think you'll want to hear this." Maya looked up, curiosity piqued. "What's going on?" Sophia handed her a folder. "It's about Lily's case. The final reports just came in. We've got a clean sweep. Everything we need to make sure he's convicted. And there's more." Maya took the folder, flipping it open as she scanned the documents. Her eyes narrowed in concentration, her fingers grazing the paper. "What more?" Sophia hesitated, then spoke softly. "We've managed to trace the money from his illegal operations, and we've located several people, former associates of his, who are willing to testify. They're ready to go public, Maya. This could end his influence, not just here, but everywhere." Maya's heart skipped a beat. This wasn't just about Lily anymore. This was about cleaning up an entire network of abuse and corruption, taking down a criminal empire that had thrived on the suffering of vulnerable people. It was about making sure no one else fell victim to the same fate. For a moment, Maya sat in silence, the weight of it all settling in. She had come so far since that first night she'd found Lily in the rain. But there was still work to be done. She looked up at Sophia, her eyes steely with determination. "We're not stopping until every last one of them is behind bars. I won't let him hurt anyone else." Sophia nodded. "We'll do everything we can." The next few weeks passed in a flurry of activity. Maya worked tirelessly to ensure the legal proceedings went smoothly, her team gathered more evidence, and they prepared for the day when David Davis would face trial. It wasn't just about justice for Lily anymore. It was about sending a message to the world that no one was above the law and that the vulnerable would be protected, no matter the cost. Lily, for her part, had become Maya's strength in ways she never expected. The girl's resilience, her ability to heal and grow, inspired Maya every day. They spent their evenings together, drawing, painting, or simply talking. Sometimes Lily would ask questions about Maya's life, about her business empire, about the choices that had led her to this point. And Maya would answer, truthfully, with the same openness she had given the girl from the beginning. But there was still a question hanging between them. A question that had been quietly building since the day Maya took Lily in. One evening, as they sat together, the room bathed in the golden glow of the setting sun, Lily turned to Maya with a serious expression on her face. "Maya, do you ever think about, what happens next?" Lily asked, her voice soft. "I mean, after all this, when everything's done, will you still be there for me?" Maya's heart caught in her throat. She had known this moment would come. The moment when Lily would need to know where she stood. The moment when Maya would have to make a choice, one that would define the rest of their lives. "I'll always be here for you, Lily," Maya said, her voice steady, but filled with emotion. "You're part of my life now, and that means I'm not going anywhere. Whatever happens, we're in this together." Lily's eyes glistened with unshed tears, and for a moment, Maya could see the girl who had been so broken and lost in the beginning. But now, she was whole. She was ready to face the world, ready to be herself, to live without fear. I never had a mom before. Not like this," Lily whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "But now I do." Maya reached over, pulling Lily into a tight embrace. "You always had one. You just didn't know it yet." In that moment, Maya realized that this wasn't just about saving Lily. It was about saving herself, too. For all her success, her wealth, and her influence, there had always been a part of her that had been empty, until Lily had walked into her life. The love she had for this child wasn't just a promise she made to protect her. It was the beginning of something new, something deeper. The trial came and went, and David Davis was convicted on multiple charges, sentenced to life in prison. The network of criminals he had worked with was dismantled, and many of his former associates were brought to justice. Maya had fought with everything she had to ensure that the system worked, not just for her, but for every child who had been failed by it before. Years later, Maya sat in the front row of an art gallery, surrounded by a group of well-dressed socialites and art collectors, her eyes fixed on the bright, colorful canvas on display before her. It was a piece Lily had painted, her first solo exhibition. The title of the painting was simple: New Beginnings. Maya felt a smile tug at her lips as she watched Lily, now a confident, talented young woman, guiding visitors through the exhibit. There was no trace of the frightened little girl she had met in the rain. She had found her place in the world, and she had done it on her own terms, with Maya by her side. "Looks like she's going to make it after all," Sophia said, standing beside Maya, her eyes also fixed on Lily. Maya's smile deepened. "She's already made it, and I couldn't be prouder." As the crowd murmured in awe at the art, Maya glanced around the room, at the friends, colleagues, and supporters who had come to see Lily's work. She had built an empire, but this moment, right here, was the greatest accomplishment of her life. She had given Lily a chance, and in return, Lily had given her a family. And together, they had built a future.